about that interview you saw with Elon Musk.
Yeah, so last night I was watching kind of a montage of Elon Musk interviews lately, and the first thing I saw was it pops up and says, well, we're summoning the demon of AI. And I was like, well, this is a great way to start this. Now I feel great about a lot of things. And he goes on to tell you, like, probably 10 to 20 years, AIs are going to be smarter than humans. And it's not looking, I mean, we know it's coming, guys. We see the train coming, but we don't have the wisdom yet to know what to do with it.
Why do we do this? Like, I love technology, okay? Like, I love being able to drive my car to work. Sometimes I look around and wonder, why am I not flying in a car to work? Why am I not teleporting to work? We need to start doing that instead of trying to make robots sentient. Okay, I can take out my own trash, right? We all saw what happened in iRobot.
That's what
turns out looking like a true story. Okay,
that's the worst part. We've made all these movies. We've made iRobot. We've made The Matrix. We know how this ends, and it doesn't end with Keanu Reeves saving us or Will Smith saving us. That's not how it ends. It ends poorly, Jake.
I mean, government oversight, we got to have it. I mean, it could help or hurt, but probably would help.
Well, it just worries me when the richest people on the planet are saying things like this and then trying to leave Earth as well. Like, to me, like, it's one thing for you to be like, hey, we're in trouble. Maybe you're trying to scare somebody or get something funded. I can understand that. But then you're trying to, like, you're building spaceships, talking about colonizing Mars and how you want to go and stuff like that. But why do you really want to leave?
I can't
Why do you really want to leave? Why does anybody really want? Word has it, Neil Armstrong got tired of his wife nagging him. That's why he wanted to leave.
Can't do it. There's no way I can do it. There's no way I could hop in a spaceship and go to another planet.
There would legitimately have to be an asteroid or a meteor headed to Earth. Y'all know me, I don't do heights. Not my favorite, all right? Glass elevators and me, it's not a good situation. But there is only one way. If they're like, we have to evacuate the planet because there is a meteor heading to hit the planet that's going to blow it up. Not, hey, there's zombies on the planet. I'll get on an island with a sniper rifle. We'll play a game called
And what kind of
learn
zombies?
to swim. And what kind of zombies? We're talking slow zombies, or are we talking the World War Z zombies? Those are two different types of levels of starting to freak out.
You got to start making decisions.
That's exactly right. But the only way you will see me strapped into a spaceship that is leaving Earth, that's going to go that high, this Earth better be about to explode. It better be not, hey, we think it's going to take out, a third of the planet and some of the wildlife. No, I'm talking about impact, explosion, no chance of survival, obliteration.
The only way I would get on that spaceship, it'd be one of those, hey, does this smell like chloroform situations?
Yeah, and then you wake up in space.
What smell like chloroform?
That's exactly right.
Then I'm talking about a Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence, don't wake me up.
With all this talk about I look like Elon Musk, do you think I could get us on the ship to Mars?
For sure.
Like, I could.
I need you to get us on the ship to Mars, David. I need you to stop robots from.
Yeah, maybe David. Maybe this whole thing started. Maybe this
I just start putting out videos.
Maybe this whole show started just so we could get to this point to realize you could sneak into SpaceX and maybe shut this thing down.
I'm here to do it.
Can you just get me in?
The only problem is you're 6'7".
He's tall.
He's not 6'7".
I mean, you got some.
He couldn't play power forward for the Pistons. Okay.
I mean, can you get me into S4? That's all I want to know. Can you get me into Los Alamos?
Yes.
Can you get me in
S4?
Yes.
The people who know what he means by S4 are geeking right now. Unbeaten Ole Miss heads to LSU this weekend. We're going to break down the best and worst teams from each conference with our friend Big Game Boomer, and we react to some of the best football moments and get ready for the NBA start. I'm Jake Crane, and welcome to Crane & Company. There are storylines for days so far during the 2022 college football campaign, and there are still Cinderellas who are wearing their glass slipper from coast to coast. But there's one team down in SEC country who, while they have a tough road to hoe, remained perfect through 7 weeks. That's the Lane Train and the Ole Miss Rebels. They sit at 7-0, and while they don't have the flashiest or sexiest schedule, they do control their own destiny, which is the most important. But with trips to Arkansas, A&M, and this weekend headed down to LSU and Baton Rouge, the dream could end very quickly. But if Jackson Dart continues to find ways to move the ball by air, land, or sea, mixed in with a defense that is very opportunistic, the Rebels could find themselves with a chance to take down the Tide and possibly clinch the Western Division at home. The more likely path for Ole Miss is that they'll drop one of the next two on the road and would see Alabama in somewhat of a tiebreaker game, with each team having one loss at home. Win that one, combined with LSU dropping just one more, and that would be about enough to book Lane Kiffin's squad an early December date in Atlanta. Now, is this Ole Miss team elite or the best team in the country? Not quite, but they do know how to win, and that's all that matters. And maybe, just maybe, that baseball natty bled a little bit into the gridiron, because so far in 2022, it's coming up all roses in Oxford. I'm going to bring in my co-host, former Michigan quarterback, Heisman candidate, and his father to child. My other co-host, Western State, Colorado, friend of Austin Eckler, brother, sometimes has a beard and a mustache.
Pew, pew, pew.
Sometimes he doesn't.
You do keep us guessing.
You do keep us guessing.
Good.
You do keep us guessing.
It's working.
Blaine's like that book you get when you go to the haircut place and you flip the pages and it's got
I wish.
different beards,
styles.
Yeah, you're just I want to be this. I want to be Ned.
I'm the guy who gets the haircut and you look up nice haircuts, new haircuts for men, trendy haircuts, and it's pop up. It's Ryan Gosling and Ryan Reynolds. I'm like, why? I can't do this. Is it me? I mean, can we get some mediocre to ugly looking guys on here so I can feel better about myself about getting my haircut?
Hey, be nice to my friend Blaine.
Hey, I am.
Okay?
Well, that's funny. I just tell the hairstylist, can you make me look like Tim Tebow? She's like, yeah, sure. Here.
Just give you steroids? Oh, never.
Well, we'll talk about that later. But guys, when you look and all across the country, I mean, you look at UCLA still being undefeated, TCU being undefeated. We know about the Ohio States and Michigan being undefeated. But Ole Miss is a team that, while they're getting talked about, if you really look at the way the stars could align or the dots could align, you could have a one-loss SEC Western champion very, very easily, and that does include Alabama, who lost to Tennessee. But if they're able to just go 1-1 in this next road stretch, and then be able to beat Alabama, I know it's a lot easier said than done, at home, they are going to be sitting in the catbird seat with Mississippi State coming to their place as well to end the season and possibly take Ole Miss to Atlanta. Now, what's the likelihood of that? I don't think it's unbelievably likely, but the fact that we are still talking about Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss this far into the season is just another tip and feather in the cap of what Lane Kiffin's been able to do there and the relevancy that we're seeing from Ole Miss. And people will say, I can already feel it in the comments, but they haven't played anybody. Who's their best win? This, that, and the other, which we know their best win. You got Kentucky. That would probably be the best one, even though because the one loss Kentucky had was without Levis. But this Ole Miss team has found ways to win. I think, and people will say, oh, well, look how bad the defense looked against Auburn. Look, Auburn couldn't score right now. They got a better chance of a gigolo scoring in a nunnery right now than Auburn does of putting up 40 points. I think Ole Miss kind of looked ahead a week. I think they looked, as crazy as it sounds to overlook Auburn, I think Auburn was a little bit of a trap game for them, and they saw LSU kind of on the horizon, and this is an inflection point for Ole Miss, because if you do go win this one, and your dogs in the top 10 on the road, at least last time I saw it, LSU is unranked. Think about this. LSU is unranked and a 1.5-point favorite over Ole Miss, who is ranked in the top 10. I know it's down in LSU. I know Baton Rouge is a tough place to play. They're more hammered than a Home Depot commercial. But when you look at this game, if Ole Miss does find a way to win it, and then you go to A&M next week, a team that I think is a lot more beatable, honestly, than LSU is at this point, Ole Miss could really do some damage, David.
Say what you want about Ole Miss's schedule. They're still 7-0, and a lot of teams have weak schedules and they don't win those football games. So it is definitely back heavy, but 7-0 right now. Lane Kiffin started 6-1 last season, and that was a 10-win season.
Yep.
So this next 5-game stretch, obviously, it's back heavy, right? You got LSU, Texas A&M, Alabama, Arkansas, Mississippi State with 3 of those 5 on the road. I think they lose 2 of those football games at least. But if you lose 2 of those games, that's still a 10-win season. Yep. And if you lose the right to, and one of those wins is over Alabama, who now has a loss at Tennessee, which is a conference loss, you could still find yourself playing in Atlanta in the SEC Championship.
Without a doubt. Blaine, I'm looking at LSU, too. I mean, if LSU wins this game, I mean, LSU, you got what? Ole Miss at home. You get Bama at home. Look, can we pull up their schedule real quick?
You got Ole Miss at home, Bama at home. You go to Arkansas, UAB at home, and then at A&M. Winnable games.
Watch what'll happen. LSU, they'll win out except for UAB. They'll do something crazy like that. Like UAB will beat them at home. They'll beat Alabama at home. They'll beat Ole Miss at home, which I'll be honest with you, I like LSU this weekend, at least up to this point. I haven't locked it
Do you?
yet. But
this game opened. I saw -1.5, -2.5 Ole Miss.
Yep. There's -1, I believe. I think it's when it opened at Ole Miss. Maybe I'm tripping.
I saw some -2.5, so it was different.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And then the betting came, and now they're dogs. So you see where where the fans lie on this. And to me, this game's a pick 'em. And let's go through it. The one thing LSU defense kind of struggled with lately is what? I mean, stopping the run. Mm-hmm. Florida ran for over, I believe, 200 yards against them. Anthony Richardson had a big day. And what is Ole Miss great at? I mean, running the ball. The only weakness I would say is Jackson Dart. Auburn kind of showed that sometimes he zones in on a guy and really doesn't look what's around him, especially linebackers in the middle of the field. Mm-hmm. But, you go back to the Vandy game, he threw the ball well. I know that's not saying much because you are playing Vandy, but the one thing that Ole Miss is going to do and one thing they all want to do, they want to run the football.
Yes.
They are a top 5 team in the nation and running the football. 3 guys over 100 yards versus Auburn. That's almost unheard of. So this game's going to come a lot to the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, but also Jayden Daniels not putting the ball in harm's way all year. And Jackson Darts, I believe, throws 6 interceptions so far.
Yeah, well, I do want to make a point on this. I think when you're looking at this game, the reason, too, a lot of people are betting on LSU is because it feels like LSU has the most dynamic player. While Ole Miss has ran the ball really well, Jackson Dart's a good player. I love some of the weapons they have on the outside.
Bingo.
But if Jayden Daniels plays well, he is the most dynamic player on that field. You saw what he did last week: 3 through the air, 3 on the ground, pushing the ball down the field, giving Booty and Neighbors and those guys a chance to go make plays. Jack Besh. So it feels like if LSU plays well, Jayden Daniels can take over the game. I feel like this is going to be a high-scoring game. You look at the game last week against Florida. I do think the difference between Florida and Ole Miss is that one has Anthony Richardson in the run game and the other one doesn't. But Jackson Dart's still a good runner. He tore Auburn apart on the zone read, on the power read, which I think is the best running play in football. But when I look at Ole Miss and LSU, it feels like Ole Miss, while they control their own destiny, if they play well and Jayden Daniels plays really well, LSU, to me, can take the game over. I feel like they have a dynamic playmaker at quarterback. Not saying Jackson Dart isn't a good player, but this will hinge, obviously, up front, who can run the ball. But I think we may get a little bit of a stalemate there. I think it's going to come down to Jayden Daniels being able to create not only on first down, not only on second down, but on third down and long. Can you get us out of the 3rd and 9s when the first 2 guys aren't open and you're able to take off? How much of that quarterback run game are you going to see? I think LSU is going to lean on it like a fat kid during a 4K on the side of an ice cream truck. So when you look at how this game can play out, I think there's multiple avenues for each team to win. I just feel like LSU is a little more dynamic offensively with what Jayden Daniels can do.
Well, LSU fans got what they wanted when they saw what they did against Florida. That was Jayden Daniels pushing the ball down the field.
You said something, and I not push back on this, but you said Jayden Daniels has done a good job of taking care of the ball. Yes, but he also hasn't taken any chances. Even Brian Kelly came out and said, this is what I'm getting to. Before last weekend, this is why that was such a big deal, seeing him do that early last week, and we talked about that yesterday. Before last week, he was kind of nervous to push the ball down the field, and that's why he didn't have any turnovers. But Brian Kelly was basically saying, we're not getting a return on our investment in front of you, with you not having any interceptions because you're not giving us a chance to make big plays. If a quarterback goes the whole year without throwing an interception, something is probably wrong.
They're running the wishbone.
You know what I'm saying? It's like when they say with couples that don't argue never stay together. Like there's not a good couple that never argues. Like I tell Rita all the time. She's like, I just hate when we argue. I'm like, well, I don't like when we argue either, but that's part of it. That means we care, so we care enough to try and get our point across or whatever. So nobody's perfect. But now that they've pushed the ball down the field, it just opens everything up so much more. It takes a little bit of pressure off those young tackles. And hell, Will Campbell's not played in some of the big games because he's been dehydrated. So when you look at LSU, I feel like there's a lot of room for growth for LSU at the back end of this season with what Jayden did.
The only thing that scares me with this LSU team, I mean, we look at Jayden Daniels last time, his average completions was 11 yards. All right, that's what you want to see if you're an LSU fan. That's beautiful. That's what you want. You push it down the field, no turnovers. But they gave up 6.5 yards per rush versus Florida. If you do that against Ole Miss,
they'll score every play.
They'll run up every drive. Will run it up on you for 4 quarters. And you can't, the same thing at Ole Miss with Tennessee. You can't come out and get down early.
Yeah.
You can't come out and be an absolute disaster at home again and get down early. Because just like Tennessee, if you're playing catch up against this team, you already lost.
Yeah, well, they do it a different way, too. They kind of use gravity and smush you throughout to the rest of the game as far as Tennessee's just popping off like a bottle rocket. I want to get to the Booster Club. the greatest grass movement of all time. But before we do, guys, we're talking about -1.5, -2.5. Open is the favorite. Open is the dog. If you like to bet and you're at a place where you can, a state where you can bet, you need to go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use our promo code BOOSTER. Make any $5 bet this week, and you get $200 in free bets if your team wins. That's only at DraftKings Sportsbook, but you got to use the promo code BOOSTER. Remember, minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. And also, the NBA starts tonight. All right, a little bit of Lakers, Warriors, 76ers, Celtics, some big brands playing each other. The Warriors coming off a world championship, and also Draymond Green punching Jordan Poole in the face, and the Lakers bringing Russ off the bench. I know we're going to talk about it, but go to DraftKings right now. They've got all the best props, team props, player props. There's one we were talking about, Major League Baseball. It's plus 1,100 for a team to hit for the cycle. Yep. Single, double, home run, triple. Which, if that triple's out there, you feel pretty good about it.
That's in Padres, Phillies.
Padres, Phillies. Yep. I mean, in that ballpark, too, that ballpark out there, you
corners
can hit your triples
corners
in
are
there.
deep?
Corners are deep.
Okay.
Corners are deep.
All right, Booster Club. First of all, Max Johnson. All right. I know we preach donuts on this show, but, man, $199 donation.
Whoa.
99 cents, man, Max.
You're going on the board.
Yeah.
You're going on. I may write your name all
Max,
over the
we
board.
appreciate it, man. We really do. He says, boys, no question today. Just want to you guys to get some good grub on me.
Thank
Max,
you,
wow, Max.
We really appreciate it, Max. Let's go to Leo Maltos, $4.99 donation.
Thanks, Leo.
We all know NASCAR isn't a sport.
But Leo's always on YouTube commenting about NASCAR.
But did y'all want to weigh in on the Bubba Wallace situation? Worse than Aaron Donald? ? No.
I wouldn't say it's worse. As far as covering NASCAR, we throw it in rapid fire. Sometimes it's just with football season. It's so crazy right now with the NBA. You know what we'll start doing? We'll start doing our obscure NASCAR update. How about that? We'll bring in. We got sent a cardboard cutout of a certain NASCAR driver. We'll just start throwing in an obscure NASCAR update.
Yeah, right over there.
Yeah, we'll bring it in. I'll set it right by us. He'll join us and give us his opinion as well, even though Replacement Cone's going to be so pissed.
Bubba Wallace went after Kyle Larson.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Look, it's again. I think this is what makes NASCAR kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
makes everything cool. Let's be honest. Let's be honest about this, guys.
Here we go.
Let's be honest about this. Fighting makes everything better.
Yeah,
in
but
sports, it makes it better.
There's certain sports, like I don't want to see you fighting in golf. Now, would that?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You just looked me in the face and lied. Yes, you do. Everyone wants to fight Patrick Reed. Let's be honest. You've never wanted to punch Bryson DeChambeau in the face?
Oh, I think everybody.
All the time.
I think everybody who's ever lived has either wanted to punch Bryson DeChambeau or Jordan Spieth in the face.
I would have loved just to see random. I mean, Rory and
Jack Nicklaus and Arnold. Well. You know,
I mean, we're on the 18th. We're not worried about putting. I mean, Tiger's chasing a guy with a 3-iron.
Tony Finau's beating the hell out of.
I mean, fighting makes sports cool.
Some Swedish out of Victor Hovland.
Yeah.
Pickleball, tennis.
Yes.
Every sport. Billiards.
And what
billiards?
Darts. Hey, I mean,
try out.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see where it makes a sport like worse.
Oh my goodness!
Again,
we have one gentleman's game.
I mean, that's the definition of it.
Croquet. You can't fight in croquet.
Yes, you can. You got balls and sticks. Let's figure it out. All right,
you'll kill somebody with
Stevie J. All right, Stevie J with a $20 donation. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Stevie J.
Said, what happens if a one-loss Alabama? Here we go.
Yep.
Georgia, Tennessee, and Ole Miss. Who's going to the college football playoff?
This is, hold on. It's like that. It's like in The Hangover when he has like all the
numbers,
the formulas when he's going to be Rain Man. This is the ultimate day after tomorrow Armageddon scenario, because I'll do you one better. What happens if that happens and UCLA loses a game, TCU loses a game?
That makes it easy. That makes it easy.
Well, it's
what if those two go undefeated?
No, my thing is this: if UCLA loses and TCU loses, and that happens. Do you see 3 SEC teams in the college football playoff? Because think about it.
Two.
I agree with you. I agree with you. But how much would people freak out? I think Joel Klatt may go on just like some insane spree or something if that were to happen. Him or Danny Cannell would freak out.
No,
our boy DK.
You'd have the conference champion, right?
For
and
sure.
You'd have the Big Ten champion.
So say Georgia wins.
You'd have Clemson.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I think at that point you would be picking between the next best SEC team who has one loss against a one-loss Big 12 champion and a one-loss Pac-12 champion. And in that case, I think you could at some point justify a second SEC team getting in there over a conference champion, but only if they have a loss.
I think if Clemson loses one game in the regular season, it guarantees 2 SEC teams.
I think you're right.
Yeah, but I don't see Clemson losing a game.
I don't think they will, man.
Who are they going to lose to?
Yeah.
DJU would have to totally just regress back to old DJU. But I'm sure he loves present DJU and future DJU.
Is there a situation if Clemson only loses one game and you have something like an Oregon, UCLA, or TCU only has one loss, could one of those teams get in over Clemson?
Well, what's going to really freak everybody out, and I hate to bring up so many hypotheticals, is what if North Carolina doesn't lose another game and beats Clemson
in the ACC championship? It's not out of the question with Drake May at quarterback, man. They're not a great football team, but Drake May's a great football player. And any given Saturday,
they can score some points.
Any given Saturday in a conference champion.
Very true. All right, Blondier, one more.
All right, let's go to Brett. What's up, Brett? He says, if LSU's defense can prevent giving up the big plays and that offense when the Florida game shows up, LSU will handle Ole Miss. I really don't see a situation where LSU just blows this game out of the water.
I say that.
Ole Miss does or LSU?
LSU.
You're talking about LSU blows them out?
Ole Miss out of the water, yeah.
I think there's obviously a lot better chance of that happening than the other, because if I'm LSU and I'm looking at this game and I'm watching the film and I've watched Ole Miss play every weekend, Jackson Dart is going to have to beat me with his arm.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to have to beat me with your arm, because if I shut down the run, I really shut down the play action. The RPOs don't have as much of effect. The key, I think, for Ole Miss, not to jump to keys to victory, we'll do that on Friday, is how successful can Jackson be running the ball himself? How much of a threat is he to keep the ball? Because they are going to key in on that on the two backs, on Judkins and on the two guys that are toting the mail. And what's crazy, if you look, I mean, shoot, they had Parrish, too, who transferred to Miami. I mean, this backfield is absolutely loaded. But if they take away the running backs and Jackson Dart isn't able to be effective running the ball, not keeping the zone read, not keeping the RPO sometimes, they're not using the quarterback run game enough with him, because Ole Miss is kind of in a decent spot where you can take some chances with Jackson Dart running the ball because you do have a serviceable backup behind him. There's some teams that you have to be very, very worried about putting the quarterback in harm's way because the backup is hot dog water. Mm-hmm. That's not the case at Ole Miss. That's not saying you go crazy and you run them 45 times in the game, but a way for them to be able to keep playing the way they want to. Speaking of Ole Miss, it's not just the running backs contributing in the running game. It's Jackson Dart contributing in the running game. Because if that doesn't happen and Ole Miss has to rely on just sitting in 10 personnel and throwing the ball around the yard the whole time and hope it works out, I think that's how you could see them get down 10 points early, Jaden Daniels, and then make a big play late, and the game never really be in doubt. So it's going to be interesting to say the least. But Cone, go ahead, Blaine.
Racho with a $10 donation.
Thank you, brother.
This is the stuff I love to read. He said, just want to say I've been watching since episode 1. Appreciate it. Says, you guys bring me lots of laughs during the night shift and brought back my love for sports. So, man, I'm glad we did that.
Appreciate it, man.
Says, what did you guys think about the last Astros game?
You mean 8 years ago when the Astros got to play? You know, because this series between the Indians and the Cleveland and the Yankees has gone on longer than How I Met Your Mother. I mean, I know you have no control over it. Can we just play the game? And we're going to get into a preview of it. Look, I think the Astros, to me, when you look at a team that's gotten, to the cusp and then you win the World Series and you have that scandal or whatever, they have been the most consistent team in the playoffs. I mean, in reality, let's look at it. So I think the Astros, you're seeing that experience even with Correa going to the Twins, who, by the way, did a great job on the MLB Network the other day. That dude's going to have a fantastic career as an analyst. But they just have something in the DNA over there, and people will make the cheating jokes, and I make the cheating jokes. You cheated. Speaking about summoning the demon of AI, y'all did it a couple of years ago.
I don't mind it. Like, if you have a cheat for a year to win it all, just to give up a 30 for 30,
you just have no moral compass.
4 years later, do it. Do it. That championship's still a championship. I mean, yeah, the 30 for 30 will be good, but sometimes you got to give it up.
But if I'm the Astros, I'm looking. Obviously, I'm cheering for Cleveland tonight, but I'm looking over on the other side saying I don't see Dodgers, I don't see Braves.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't see Mets with Scherzer.
You're Clemson right
now. Yeah, you're Clemson right now. You are definitely.
You're Clemson. Yeah, and while I did feel like that Mariners team was probably a year or two away because they're a young team, to sweep them was very impressive.
Yep.
And this last one went 18 innings.
Yep.
A 1-0 win in 18 innings. Jose Altuve was 0 for 8 in that game.
Well,
imagine that stat line.
You know, it's been something too, and they've won it in multiple ways. You have a game that goes on that long. You see that in the playoffs when guys are really biting down on each pitch. But you know, I'm not surprised that the Astros won it because they've shown you they can do this. They've shown you they can come back from down 3 runs in the ninth. That they can put up crooked numbers when they have to. But we've been watching the Astros do this for years. So while it was fun, while it was great for the game, was great for the viewer, I'm not surprised by the Astros doing it at all. I'm also not surprised when we go into rapid fire, Coney.
Rapid fire. All right. Well, let's stay on Major League Baseball. We got the Yankees tonight. Postponed game from yesterday. They're going to take on Cleveland in Game 5 of the divisional series.
Yeah, Nestor Cortez is going to take the mound for the Yankees. They decided on 3 days rest. I think it's the right move. Francona for Cleveland said that they are going to stay with Savali regardless.
So they have announced their starter.
Well, he said even if it gets pushed back, they're going to go with Savali. So I'm thinking they're going with Savali right now.
Okay.
This is a weird game to me because everything is pointing with Nestor on the mound, with Judge struggling. You feel like you're going to get a breakout game from him, maybe a high-scoring breakout game from the Yankees, but you never know in playoff baseball. We've seen what Cleveland has done all year. They've been the underdog all year. Nobody thought they were going to do anything. They go in and win the AL Central, snag it away from the White Sox and the Twins and everybody in that division. So it's hard for me to sleep on Cleveland, but I just feel like this is a game where Rizzo goes deep, Judge goes deep. I feel like the Yankees end up winning this 8-3. I think Nestor gives them 5 or 6 score, 1 and under. I just feel like this game lines up for the Yankees.
Feel good about your boys?
No.
Why?
No, I don't. Well, I mean, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel good about the last game of a series, depending on.
That's true. That's a good point.
I mean, I know we have somewhat the upper hand on the mound. I mean, and that's great, but this Cleveland team's just so scrappy.
They are.
Yeah. They're just so scrappy. There's nothing scarier than a scrappy small ball team.
Hey, they got our boy Rich homie Stephen Kwan leading off.
Who can just absolute stroke. Aaron Judge, you got to show up, man. You got to show up.
You know what? I've got a problem with this. No,
you want all this money.
No, I got a problem
You want all this money.
What
What matters is in the postseason. That's what matters.
Okay.
That's when you got to show up. We're all happy for you that you hit all those home runs, man. I've been behind you 100%. But dog, you are batting. First of all, you're batting leadoff. All right. So if you're batting leadoff, even if you're going to get out, you got to have a quality at bat. You can still have a quality at bat and get out. Right now, you're not having quality at bats. You have to show up when it matters the most, and that's the postseason. Baseball is a what have you done for me lately type of sport, and you have done nothing for the Yankees lately in the playoffs. Nothing.
So you mean to tell me you're going to sit? You want to know? Then don't get upset if Aaron Judge leaves town. Don't get upset.
I won't.
Don't get upset if Aaron Judge leaves town. The guy hit 62 home runs. Okay, 62 home runs. Basically wins a triple crown. Okay, in the American League for the Yankees. In my opinion, is the single season home run record holder. I know he hasn't hit well in the playoffs early. But you're going to put him on the stake already? Already? Cone? 62 home runs?
Putting him on the stake.
Put 62 home runs?
Putting him on the stake.
No, you're putting him on the stake.
I'm saying you have to show up. You want this huge contract.
You're Vlad the Impaler right now.
You want this huge contract. And I still go back.
You just said 62
I still go back to what I said.
You said 62 home runs, David. You want a big contract.
What do you do in the postseason? What are you doing in the postseason?
You know what you do when you want a big contract?
What do you do? When does it matter most? When does it matter most?
Oh, my God.
When does it matter most?
Soviet Union.
When does it matter most? When does it matter most? Not in the regular season.
You can never make fun of Alabama fans. You can never make fun of Alabama fans getting upset about not winning every game anymore. Can't do it.
So he's had 16 at-bats in the postseason, 2 hits, 9 strikeouts. He's batting 125, but it's not just him. The Yankees in the postseason are batting 177.
Yeah, I guess we got to fire everybody then. I guess we got to trade everybody.
Well, everyone's not Aaron Judge. Everyone in that lineup's not Aaron Judge, are they?
I mean, there's some pretty good players in that lineup.
Are they Aaron Judge?
Bader's batting 286.
Yeah, are they Aaron Judge?
And Rizzo's batting 286 in the postseason.
Yeah, you know it's not good when Rizzo's leading you in batting average.
Josh Donaldson's batting 250, our boy from the Braves.
Oh, JD.
And Giancarlo Stanton has a .083.
Damn, buddy, y'all got to ship him out quick.
This is what I said. Let's go back to the All-Star break. Should have got more. You should have got more. You should have got another piece to come in there. Just in case it's
how many more pieces do the Yankees need?
We want all the pieces.
What do you mean all the pieces?
I want to be playing chess against myself on both sides.
The Dodgers have all the pieces, and they're sitting at home.
Then I'm going to hit the clock. Then I'm going to go on the other side. Then make a move and hit the clock. I want all the pieces.
It's about the hunger. It's about the hunger. You saw the Braves were hungry last year. Phillies are hungry this year. Padres hungry. Cleveland hungry.
When he hit 62 home runs.
No one has more pieces than the Dodgers, and they're at home
I'm not saying send the dude off in the raft. I'm saying, like, you need to show up. You need to show up.
Nobody's doubting that. But
you said I'm putting them on the stage.
Yeah, you're trying to make another Yankees highlight reel, aren't you?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm saying you want to give this man half a Saturn. All right? That's what you want to give him. I need you to play a little bit better in the postseason.
Half of what? Half of Saturn?
Yeah, Saturn, the planet.
He requested that in his contract?
That and a little bit of Mars.
That's where he's from.
Yeah. Well, he's from, like, Zeta Reticuli, or wherever that is, like 30,000 light years away. Look, this is on.
Which is nothing.
First of all, we should have got another piece, right? We should have got another piece. Another piece will take you.
That's right.
We're trying to win rings.
Like what? What piece?
What about Juan Soto? I see. The thing about it is, like, in that realm of the Yankees, we live in that realm. We get guys like that. All right, we get the biggest dragons. All right, that's what we get.
I think the realm you live in is fantasy land.
It's not.
It's fantasy.
Well, it's fantasy land until you win a championship, and then you're a genius. Everyone thinks you're crazy until it works, and then you're a genius. We had the money. You should have got another piece. Okay, that's what you should have done. And Aaron Judge, I'm the biggest fan out there, man. Look, I'm always cool with superhumans. Like, it's fine. I'm super happy you hit all those home runs, but man, you got 2 hits.
After hearing all this, I'm starting to think this might be a 3 for 4 with 2 homer night.
Oh, please!
Judge.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna send him Blaine sent him a text this morning saying, "Hey, man, you bring me your playbook."
No, I didn't. I said, "Can we put it in play? Can we at least put it in play?" Bat and lead off.
Speaking of geniuses, rumor has it he used to be one. Our good friend, Big Game Boomer, coming in dropping lists, more lists than Santa Claus. Boom, what's up, my friend?
What's happening, y'all? How you doing?
Doing great as we're moving along through the season, already going into week 8. It's absolutely nuts, man. Just before we get into the list, because we're going to do our best team and worst team from each Power 5 conference, what are a couple things that stood out to you last weekend?
Whew, man. Well, this past Saturday was probably the best Saturday of college football I think I've seen in a while. I mean, that Tennessee-Alabama game was incredible. I was impressed, or I don't know if I was impressed or disappointed with how bad Alabama's secondary was. So that was impressive. TCU flexing against Oklahoma State, beating them. I did not think that would happen. That's another. I think TCU is for real. And then of course Michigan just kind of laying the wood to Penn State, just making them look like. I mean, Penn State had a good rush defense, and Michigan just ran all over them. Mm-hmm. So Michigan looks for real. So it was a good Saturday, though.
It was. I feel like there was a lot on each coast. Obviously, Utah and USC was.
Oh yeah, what about that one too? Yeah, that one was. That was a great game as well. That 2-point conversion. Whittingham has some guts.
Yeah, he does. He's always coached like that. Boom, too, when, we talked about the SEC, we talked about Ole Miss, obviously a huge game going to LSU this weekend, but kind of looking around on the periphery in the ACC there, does it look like it's Clemson and then North Carolina to you, or is there another team maybe that had been struggling, like, Miami, even though they only beat Virginia Tech by 6? Is there a team in the ACC that you think can compete with Clemson, and is that North Carolina?
Man, I just don't know if North Carolina's defense is up for it. I hate that the ACC didn't get rid of divisions this year, because the Coastal division in the ACC is maybe the worst division in all of college football. It's terrible. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think the 2 best teams are probably Clemson and Wake Forest, and I'd love to see a rematch in that game, but instead we're going to see UNC or Pitt. I mean, it's just, I think Clemson now, I thought they might struggle against Florida State. It wasn't that game. It was a close end of the game, but they won pretty comfortably. I think Clemson's just probably going to go undefeated here.
Definitely. And that's a great segue into our best and worst. Like I said, we picked the best team from each Power 5 conference and the worst team. Let's go ahead and start in the ACC right there. You have Clemson as your best and Virginia as your worst. So we agree on that one. We went back and forth, Cone. Obviously, you can't put Georgia Tech on there now. They've won a couple. It seems like they left Jeff Collins out the door and somebody found the winning tree. But we talked about Virginia Tech maybe, but that one conference win for Virginia Tech, kind of put them over the top.
It was a toss-up between Virginia and Virginia Tech, and with Brennan Armstrong at Virginia being a better quarterback, I thought that, maybe Virginia Tech should go on that list, but you're exactly right. They at least have one conference win at Virginia Tech to show on the schedule.
Without a doubt, and of course, I didn't mention Syracuse earlier in the ACC game, but they play Clemson this weekend, so
they're right there.
Find that out. They are right there. Boomer, what are your thoughts on Syracuse? Any shot to go into Clemson to be able to win?
No,
I agree.
I don't. I love what Syracuse has done. I'm going up there for a game here in a couple of weeks just to check out the dome and everything. But this is a terrible mismatch for Syracuse. I mean, they've had a lot of things bounce their way to get to 6-0. So I just think it's 11 a.m. game, but I just think they're outmanned. Almost at every single skill position. So I don't think this game will be close on Saturday.
Yeah, I think it's going to be awfully physical, but I think Syracuse getting away from the dome and going to play somewhere else, I think they finally get that first loss. But let's go to the Big Ten here, Coney. Boomer has Ohio State #1 and Northwestern as the worst team. Let's go ahead and put our two picks up there for the Big Ten as well. I believe we a little bit different. We had, let's see, in the Big Ten, we had Michigan, all right, as our best team, and our worst was Northwestern. Obviously, the argument here is going to be Ohio State and Michigan. And Blaine, I want to give you some credit because going back and I watched a little bit of that game yesterday, and I've watched Ohio State. Ohio State has not played a team that's currently ranked in the AP Top 25, but we know they're good. Mm-hmm. We know Ohio State's good. We know they have really good players. That wide receiver room, I mentioned TCU yesterday in Tennessee. We've been talking about the Ohio State wide receiver room the whole year. Jigba getting back healthy, Marvin Harrison Jr., guys like that we know are super talented with C.J. Stroud. But I feel like Michigan right now is a more physical team, Blaine, that you brought that up. And you looked at the way they pushed Penn State around.
Well, I always... When it comes down to looking at teams like that who are somewhat equally matched in a lot of ways, I always go to up front, especially on the offensive line. And right now, Michigan is playing, if not the best ball up front. They physically dominated Penn State, who's not just a bunch of scrubs walking out. Penn State is known, especially on their defense. Go back to that Auburn game. They physically beat up Auburn on both sides of the ball, but it's another level, it's another extension of kind of what you see in Big Ten ball. But Michigan, if you can run the ball and stop the run, I don't care who you're playing, and you can play with anybody. Ohio State's a lot of flash. It's pretty. They're the prettiest girl at the dance, but then you realize 5 years later you really don't like her. Michigan, probably a 7.5. An 8 who can cook well, cleans the house.
I don't like hearing all this. I like Michigan as the underdogs more. I'm going to defy the odds. I'm going to side with Boomer. I think the Buckeyes put them #1 in the Big Ten. I am not going to be the one. I am not going to be the one to jinx this season for Michigan. Okay?
Yeah, you're Dak Prescott right now.
You're Dak Prescott really hard right now.
But mostly it just comes down to the big win, right? A huge win over a top 10 opponent. The Buckeyes really don't have that, especially since Notre Dame has underperformed since that Week 1 victory for the Buckeyes. But I still think that they're playing some of the best football in the country. Boomer, I had them at #1 last week, just like you did, after we saw Georgia falter a little bit in those 2 games against Missouri and Kent State. But I can't wait for November 26th.
I can't either. It's going to be an absolute fist fight.
That game, the Big Ten is weak this year. I mean, it's really Ohio State, Michigan. I mean, you look at Big Noon Kickoff, they basically rotate going to Ohio State and Michigan games. But I think if that Michigan-Ohio State game, if it gets into a shootout, can J.J. McCarthy keep up with C.J. Stroud in that offense? That's what I don't know. I don't know if they can. But it'll be up to them to keep it physical.
Two things, Boomer.
Off the field.
2 things that you want to do if you're Michigan to keep it from getting into a shootout. 1, keep running the ball effectively, right? So that you lower the number of possessions, keep the clock ticking. And 2, don't be surprised if we see some elements in the weather late in the season, just like we did last year. That benefited Michigan in the Big House last season when it was snowing. That helped their run game out. That kept C.J. Stroud from being able to throw the football all around the yard. Keep in mind, this game is going to be played the Saturday after Thanksgiving. It's going to be cold, might be windy, might be rainy. We'll see.
I feel like this game should be played in Toledo every year.
In Toledo?
I feel like it should be.
And Toledo gets to be in whichever state wins that.
That's exactly
I know the Big Ten is weak, but Illinois is a good football team.
Illinois is a great story. They were my surprise at the beginning of the year. All right, let's go to Big 12 here. We are actually exactly the same on this one, Boomer. TCU and Iowa State. And it's funny, you watch Iowa State and you look at the score, they're definitely the best of the worst teams when you look at this kind of our list combined together. They run that 3-3-5 that causes so many problems. I mean, hell, they had Texas searching for answers and kind of had Quinn Ewers a little bit off kilter when they played Texas on the road to almost beat them last weekend. But TCU, Sonny Dykes coming over from SMU, they're putting up big-time points with Max Dugan, that wide receiver room. We've talked about him a lot. But I do think the TCU defense is good enough to keep them in some of these games here late, because the stretch is not easy on the back end. It typically isn't for anybody, but for TCU, Boomer, I mean, did anybody really see this coming after Gary Patterson left last year?
No, I mean, I know me and you didn't, because I know TCU put out a hype video last week, and there's a clip of you saying that TCU won't be good this year, and there's a clip of me saying that TCU's going 3-9 this year. So it's pretty funny. But yeah, I didn't think Sonny Dykes would come in and have this kind of success. I mean, just based on his experience at Cal, I didn't think they'd put it together this quickly. But that offense is talented. Those wide receivers are some of the best in the country. And Dugan, with his ability to run the ball and pass, I mean, they're dangerous on offense. And yeah, you're right. Their defense is good enough to get stops. This K-State game on Saturday night is going to be huge.
Oh, it's going to be massive. That's one of my favorite ones, or the ones I'm looking forward to the most.
I have a question about Iowa State real quick. How is it that, I know Matt Campbell's a good football coach, but how is it that every time there's a coaching vacancy, Matt Campbell's name gets mentioned for one of these huge jobs, but I never see the performance on the field from Iowa State?
So here, to me, is the trick. You see this happen with coaches sometimes. They'll go to a place that may not have the best tradition of winning, or they're a place that we view as hard to win, and they have a few successful years early, and their name just gets catapulted up into this category, and it doesn't leave. Because, again, Iowa State wants to win. I get it. They'll fill that place up, and they'll be loud. I've been to Ames, coached in the state. But there's not super high expectations there. So Matt Campbell was a name, obviously, when he came to Iowa State. You look at the tree, who he was under, and where he came from. They were kind of preparing him to be a big-name head coach. Goes to Iowa State, has some success early in a place where you hadn't seen a ton of success. Hell, Gene Chizik got hired away from Iowa State to Auburn after going 3-19 or 3-16, something like that, 6-19, something crazy. So Matt Campbell goes in there, has success early as a young guy. Name just gets super elevated. And you're right. Every time, when Notre Dame was open, we were hearing all these big-time places that are open that we're hearing it. I think he is overrated. I think he had a few good years. He is a good coach, but he is not an elite coach. I don't think he's this guy that everybody builds him up to be.
Mid. He's mid. He's 45. He's 45 and 38.
45 and 38 at Iowa State?
I mean, it's
Gotcha.
mediocre. But I do think Texas is the best team in the Big 12.
You think
still
Texas is the best?
You think Texas?
Yeah, I do.
Really? And that game's still coming up,
TCU,
right?
This game will be at Texas. TCU goes to Texas this year.
Gotcha.
And let's go. No, Texas Tech lost. Let's look back. I don't think Quinn was back for that.
Nope.
No, Quinn was not back for that. And I know you're having close games, close wins. Basically an Iowa State guy dropped a wide open pass to lose a game against Texas. But these are how all the games are in the Big 12. When teams like this, especially in the upper echelon, when they meet each other, it's usually going to be a one-possession game. We saw that with TCU, Ohio State. We'll probably see that with TCU, Kansas State. Oklahoma State, excuse me. I still think I lean on Quinn Ewers as being the best quarterback. I know Max Duggan is doing great, but give me Steve Sarkisian schematically, absolute witch. And that game is at Texas.
Yeah.
So I feel like Texas, and I know it sucks you lost to Texas Tech without your starting quarterback. Hudson Card played okay, but I still think Texas wins that game, and they walk in with 2 losses.
All right, boom. Let's get to the SEC. We disagree here. You've got Tennessee, number 1, which I think there's a good argument for that. And obviously, we both had Vanderbilt at number 2. It's funny, the best and worst team are from the same state in yours. In ours, we have Georgia still as the best team and Vanderbilt as the worst. What put Tennessee over Georgia in your mind?
It's that offense. I mean, I don't see that. What they play Georgia in, I think, a couple weeks here in Athens. I do not think that Georgia, they've got a good defense, not as good as last year. I think that Hendon Hooker is going to be able to put up points on this Georgia defense. And I don't know if Stetson Bennett and company on offense can keep up. I mean, it's going to be a balanced game. But I think right now, after Tennessee just beating Bama, and with Georgia's struggles against Mizzou, and I know they didn't cover the spread against Kent State, I got to go with the Vols, Rocky Top. I mean, they're the talk of college football right now.
Yeah, I mean they've navigated a pretty decent schedule too. When you look at other teams,
smoked LSU at home.
Yeah.
Well, LSU did a really good job losing that football game too. But the only thing, this has Stetson Bennett hero card written all over.
Is this where he pulls the sword out of the stone again?
The first mistake from a guy who learned this is doubting Stetson Bennett in big time moments, in big time games. The only difference I see in this game at Georgia is Georgia's going to be able to get to Hendon Hooker.
Yeah.
All right. They will not like Bama did okay, not a great job of getting to Hendon Hooker, but Georgia, especially in the interior, will push that pocket into Hendon Hooker. So I want to see how Hendon plays when it comes to that. Georgia's going to be able to run the ball a lot, extremely well. They're going to slow the pace down. And Georgia has the best defense. Alabama's secondary has been sus all year. They've been sketchy all year. Go back to the Texas game. They've been sketchy. Just Georgia's secondary is good. This Georgia defense is good. Obviously not good as that NFL team that had out there last year. Yeah. But this game is at Athens. This game will be absolutely electric. And Tennessee, I'm worried because I don't know who Tennessee has this weekend. But
UT Martin.
UT Martin.
Okay, well, they're going to win that game, but still, you're coming off such an emotional win against Alabama. You just can't let this be a one-time big game type of thing. So you have to, and that's when experience comes in with Hendon Hooker, which is huge. But Georgia's defense and Stetson Bennett going against the grain, being doubted, has a Georgia win written all over.
So you think even Bama having Will Anderson and Dallas Turner, you'll get a better pass rush for Georgia, but you're saying the pass rush is going to come from the interior.
Yeah, you're gonna push that pocket into Hendon, so then he has to start bouncing the pocket, and those easy
the secondary Georgia's better than the one in Alabama,
and that'll create coverage sacks.
Exactly,
because the guys will be covered more. So I mean, Boomer, one thing, the question of the week is about Alabama making the playoffs. So if Alabama finds a way to win the West, we were talking about this yesterday. If they find a way to win the West, they'd either play most likely a Georgia team who they lost the national championship to, or a Tennessee team that they just lost to in Knoxville. Either way, it's a Nick Saban revenge tour with the former Heisman Trophy winner at quarterback. Will Alabama make the playoff?
Yeah, I think they probably will. I mean, I think that this is the first time maybe that you could argue that Tennessee, Georgia, and Alabama are the three best teams in the country. I think that either of those teams would beat Ohio State, Michigan, or Clemson pretty handedly. So I do think Alabama, they'll find their way into the playoff. They always do. They get the benefit of the doubt. Even if I think they'll win the West. I don't think Ole Miss is as good as some people are talking them up to be. So yeah, I could see them making the playoff again.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a bad bet. You know, it's betting against Nick Saban. It's kind of like betting against Tom Brady, you know, even if he's not with Giselle, who is 100% witch. I do want to ask you before we let you go, Boom, UCLA at Oregon, massive game in the Pac-12, because if UCLA drops this one, I don't think you're going to see a Pac-12 team get in the playoff.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you take out that Georgia game, I mean, Oregon is playing great in the Pac-12, and I know UCLA, they've looked great against Washington and Utah. I mean, I'm still trying to decide who I'm going to pick here. But, I mean, with DTR and Charbonnet, like if they can run the ball like they have against other teams, I mean, it's going to be tough for Oregon. I'm leaning towards Oregon here because it's a home game. UCLA struggled. I mean, they haven't really – I don't think they've played a road game so far this year. So they played at Colorado, so that was their one test. But yeah, I'm going with the Ducks right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Bo Nix has a big game. I haven't decided 100% who I like here because I love Charbonnet, and to shoot DTR to me stands for down to ride, the way that guy's been playing lately. But Boomer, you're always down to ride, my friend. Tell everybody where they can find your stuff, and make sure you check us on Instagram for a collab post later.
Yep. Find me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, just Big Game Boomer, doing stuff all year long. It's crazy. We're in, week 8 right now? I mean,
I know. I don't even want to talk about it.
I know. It's
going by too fast. But hey, guess the NBA starts tonight. Great. But all right, Boomer, appreciate it, my friend.
All right, y'all.
Boomer said, Boomer said, oh, God. All right, Blanene.
Yeah.
Chat.
Ice Dragon King.
Ice Dragon
He's here?
King.
$50 donation.
In the chat?
In the chat?
Ice Dragon King?
Thank you.
Ice Dragon King. Well, I am the Flaming Dragon King, so hashtag square.
Oh, wow, this could
It's a Game of Thrones situation.
This has to just say meme written all over. I can already see the meme being.
We got a question for the one and only Heisman candidate, David Cohn.
Okay.
Who, me?
That's you, bud.
Okay.
You think that JJ can actually elevate Michigan, or is he only a touch better than who we had last year, and Michigan will still live and die by the run on the offense? Also, Flaming Dragon, I'm coming for you.
Oh,
If you're a Michigan fan right now, you have to be so excited about 3 things. 1, you're playing good football. 2, you're undefeated. And 3, J.J. McCarthy has not played his best football game yet. I know he threw for over 300 yards on the road at Indiana, but he has not blown the doors off of this thing yet the way that C.J. Stroud has at Ohio or the way that Hendon Hooker is right now at Tennessee. So if you're sitting there looking and you're like, man, we're winning football games like this with Blake Corum running the football. Our defensive line has improved. We're getting pressure on the quarterback. Even the secondary against Penn State, that's been my biggest question about Michigan, especially as you go and have to play someone like a C.J. Stroud, or you'd have to go and play a Bryce Young in the playoff, is the secondary. Secondary played much better against Penn State. So to me, J.J. McCarthy is the type of quarterback that could break out in the middle of the season. Some of these overthrows he's having on deep passes, some of these missed throws he's having in the bubble game, I think that's something that he could fix in the middle of a season. And if he does, Michigan's even better. And if he doesn't, and we get the same J.J. McCarthy for the rest of the season, Michigan's still a really good football team.
do you know who he reminds me of? The college version of? Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson, okay.
Yeah. If you watch kind of like Russell obviously had a big arm, figured it out, kind of got the little bit of baseball hitch out of his throw. I'm sure JJ played baseball growing up, but watching him, the comfortability of him being able to throw while he is moving right and left.
And the play action
game and how smooth he is getting the ball up and getting the ball out, and then his ability to run. And not just be sneaky, because everybody knew Russ could run. Everybody knows JJ could run. But be unbelievably effective and smart as a runner. You've seen him take the jump from last year. He's not putting the ball on the ground. He's not taking that many big hits. He's being smarter with it. There's just a little bit of Russell Wilson in it.
I like that. I still remember to this day the very first play that I saw Russell Wilson run in college. He had a strong right, Nebraska 16, had an X over. He hits him deep on the run. I was like, man, this kid can play. It was like when I saw Ben Roethlisberger.
Well, go back and look at the first throw J.J. McCarthy had last week.
There you go.
Rolling to the right, puts it on an absolute dot.
That's the thing. To answer his question specifically, J.J. McCarthy throws better than Cade McNamara on the run. Now, in the pocket, he's not leaps and bounds better than what we had with Cade McNamara, but he throws the football so well on the run. And what's really, really going to come into play late in the season, as more and more teams sell out on the Michigan run with Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards, pull that zone read. You saw him do it against Penn State. He picked up, he had a critical third down where he picked up 12 or 13 on the zone read. That's where we're really going to see J.J. McCarthy
You're
step
a facts
up.
machine today. You brought your A game today. You typically always
Hey,
but you brought your
Blaine said he got good sleep last night. I was trying to match
I did,
that.
man. I got some good sleep.
You got some good sleep again last night?
Why does, the kid reminds me of Bo Nix. To be honest, it reminds me of Bo Nix.
I don't know if he has those peaks and valleys yet, but maybe. He had the pick six. He had the pick six against Penn State.
Being at Auburn.
Okay.
I don't think that's a bad comp. I mean, you see him playing at Oregon. It's kind of hard because Auburn really never had a good offensive line. So
I can get behind that comp, actually.
You know what? Yeah. Bo's better at what? Out of the pocket, rolling, right?
Yeah. Improvising. But I feel like JJ's not. I feel like JJ's operating the offense just fine. Yeah. I feel like he's not having to do crazy things outside of that's what happens
Bo's not
when you have a nice run game
at Oregon.
Yeah, that's when you have a nice run game.
Well, the run game makes everything easier.
That's exactly
the quarterback position.
Exactly right.
All right, let's go to Travis Elrod. What's up, Travis? He says, I think Tennessee wins. Hendon Hooker is a Manziel-like player, which with better pocket skills and better arm on a better team.
Okay.
What's the best comp for Hendon Hooker?
For Hendon Hooker?
What is the best comp?
I do know he's the most dangerous hooker since Eileen Warnos. I do know that. Man, you look around, just kind of the way he plays. I mean, I don't. Nothing really jumps off the mind to me. One guy, and I guess it's because they throw so upright. I remember watching Josh Freeman, who's a monster. He throws very upright, like Hendon does. There's not a lot of bend in his knees, but just from being able to run the ball, to me, he is a better Geno Smith.
Yeah, he looks like Geno throwing the football.
Yeah, like his
throwing motion is similar. I would have never said this a while ago, but now that Jalen Hurts is throwing the football better in the NFL, is he kind of like Jalen a little bit?
I feel like he's a little bit further ahead of where Jalen was as a passer in college.
He definitely is that.
Style-wise,
He definitely is that.
They're heavy runners. They're faster the longer they go. Now, Jalen wasn't as much of a long shredder as Hendon.
And Jalen's stockier.
But I mean, I don't think that's a.
That kind of, and the reason I asked that because it brings me to this. All right, Malcolm Martin, which QB transitions best to the NFL? Hendon Hooker reminds me of Deshaun Watson in college.
I think Deshaun was a little bit more explosive in the run game. I feel like Deshaun was a little bit more of a game breaker in the run game. When you look at throwing, I was like, Deshaun Watson's really good.
Really good.
He was really, really good. Hendon's really good, but Deshaun, to me, is ability-wise is just next level when you combine the run game with the pass game. But
their stature's a lot more similar, though.
Stature's a lot more similar. But if you want to combine watching with listening still, you need to head over to Daily Wire Plus. Remember, we'll keep just the audio here. Become a member while you're over there. Listen on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and share it with all your friends and the people you haven't met yet, because maybe that's how you actually meet. We'll be right back. All right, Cone, let's get back to rapid fire.
Let's finish it up. All right, so we have another baseball game today. We have Phillies, and hold on one second. I'm pulling up this.
Padres.
We got Phillies, Padres at the Padres.
You, Darvish, Zach Wheeler, absolute showdown on the mound. I was surprised to see the under 6.5 was plus money. Almost took it, but looked myself in the eyes and didn't trust it. This is the series we never thought we'd get, right? Should be Dodgers-Braves. Should be talking about Dodgers-Braves or hell, even Mets-Braves. You know, Mets-Dodgers. I think it's good for the game. I don't know if it's great for ratings, to be honest with you, when it comes down to it. I just feel like the Phillies have the momentum right now. As a whole city with the Eagles. I know the Flyers probably aren't very good, but with the Eagles, with what the Phillies have done, and really, if you look, Kyle Schwarber hasn't hit that well. Bryce Harper, come alive during the playoffs. Good to see from a guy that everybody expects a lot out of, but it feels to me like the Phils. Not saying the Padres don't have momentum, but you still don't have Tatis, who's coming off that wrist injury, and then obviously the suspension. I feel like the Phillies are a little bit of a team of destiny this year.
I feel
they're
like
on the
too.
road. Yu Darvish absolutely shoved his last time out. Zach Wheeler was so good against the Braves. The game they ended up losing, but he did his part. Part of me, Cone, it wants to take the Phils in this series.
Yeah, well, I'm going to get
tonight.
to that. I'm going to get to that in bets. But yeah, Zach Wheeler, 12-7 on the season, 2.82 ERA.
So
Yu Darvish was 16-8 with a 3.10 ERA.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a duel tonight.
For sure.
I like the Phillies in this series, but I do like the Padres to win this game tonight.
Game one?
Yeah, I think they win game one, but I do. Phillies right now got that team of destiny written all over them.
Yeah.
It's just that type of feel right now. Brandon Marsh coming alive. You got the pitch, and Bryce Harper doing it when it matters most. Kyle Schwarber, I'll never forgive you, still for the home run. But I like the Padres in tonight's game. I think Yu Darvish throws a pretty solid game, but I do like the Phillies in the series.
All right, Monday Night Football recap. The Chargers outlast the Broncos.
Yeah, what a thrilling game. We got to get the Broncos off prime time. Got to do it. And you know what? For the first half, you know what the worst part about it is? If you're going to do it, don't trick me. Okay, don't trick me. Don't come out in the first half and look like you just figured it out.
Yeah.
It's like somebody just, like the Broncos have just been dropped back off to planet Earth, off the spaceship. I mean, Dolchich comes in, apparently one of the guys who, looks like he's stormed countries and pillaged villages back in the day, had to come in and save you to be able to score that touchdown. I know it was a busted coverage. It looked like a delayed wheel, may have been a stalking go. But Russell Wilson in the second half, and I know he's got the lat problem and things like that, but just fell off a cliff in the second half of that game. The Chargers didn't look great. I know they're beat up. You look at Keenan Allen, the turnover late kept the Broncos in the game when it bounced off South Alabama alum Gerald Everett's hands for an interception. The Chargers were able to win, though. It was a big AFC West matchup, but the Broncos, I'm guessing they probably don't have another primetime game in a while, because it feels like every time there's primetime, it's the Broncos or the Bears are playing. So when I look at the Chargers, that was a game you just had to survive. But if you look at the Broncos, I mean, Melvin Gordon looks like he's out of the rotation. Looks like it's just going to be Boone, and Latavius Murray did look pretty good last night. Jerry Jeudy looked pretty good, but I think that them not getting Cortland Sutton more involved, especially in the second half, they became stagnant. I thought the offensive line played well enough for them to win the game. They didn't make the plays in the second half. The Chargers made some plays in the second half, but they really just kind of waited out Denver and were able to win at the end in overtime.
Yeah, Melvin Gordon looked checked out on the sidelines over there. Blaine, you and Baby Cone both hit Chargers -2.5, right?
Yes, sir.
What do you think about the Chargers moving forward?
I thought this was a good win for them. It's never easy to win these games, especially the way the Broncos have been playing. But the thing about the Broncos right now, you were one of the worst red zone teams in the NFL, and you're one of the worst third down teams.
Yeah, it's not a good combo.
It's bad. But you're beat up right now with your Chargers. I thought Austin Eckler played a good game. I know you'd probably want to see him in the end zone. I think you had him twice. He did score one. I thought he did score another one.
24 fantasy.
If Baron Browning doesn't run down that screen from about the 35 on the backside, if you look from behind Austin Eckler, he's going to score. But I hate to, be that guy, but
a healthy Chargers team, especially their D-line, if they get Bosa back, you get the guys back that they have. I mean, Ingram. I mean, they're going to be something to deal with probably later in the season. That's going to be a problem. Get Keenan Allen back. I mean, Justin Herbert has to get healthy.
And Justin Herbert healthy. That's the main point.
You got Joshua Palmer, great receiver. Gerald Everett, great tight end. Keenan Allen coming back. You got Mike Williams. Like, you have a phenomenal. You have your Austin Eckler running back. Your receivers and your running back and your quarterback are Super Bowl caliber able to win. Up front on offensive line, I mean, you're doing good right now, but they got to get healthy on the defense. A healthy Chargers team is almost as good as anybody in the NFL.
Yeah. Khalil Mack looks like Khalil Mack.
Man.
Yeah, 6 sacks on the year. I know Bosa's out, and they have to have Khalil Mack. They double-teamed him one time, and he got through the Melvin Ingram. Mm-hmm. He got through the chip, got to the tackle, and it was actually a big play from Russell because that's why he escaped out of the pocket to the right. But God, when Khalil gets underneath you, you better go ahead and
imagine that on one side and Bosa when he comes back on the other side.
I'm going to ask y'all a question. When I was watching the end of this game, look, I understand getting hurt, but I thought Dustin Hopkins was trying to win an Emmy. Trying to win an Emmy, man. Jesus. I mean, come on, bro. I get hurting.
High IQ play.
But the minute that thing went in and went to,
High IQ play. So if you didn't know, the kicker for the Chargers looked like he kind of tweaked his hamstring, pulled his hamstring a little bit after the first made field goal, and you didn't know if he was going to kick at all. So anyway, every time he'd go out to kick a field goal in the rest of the game, he would just collapse after he kicked it. And look, if you've ever had a hamstring, Blaine, those are painful, especially if you're having a kick.
I get it, but I mean...
Maybe there was a little bit of acting in there, but come on.
A little bit. He did a phenomenal job.
Come on.
I get if it hurts. Trust me, I get it. I've gotten hurt before. Hammies, it sucks. But, I mean, you're not out there... This isn't Saw 3.
I wonder if part of him in the back of his mind, if he was acting, a little bit, was like, you know what? This is like buying insurance.
Yeah.
So the next time I, miss a kick, they won't be as pissed. They'll be like, hey, man, Dustin kicked through a pulled hamstring to help us beat the Broncos.
If he misses it, we know why. It's okay. It's not your fault.
That's exactly right. It's like when Tiger would start playing bad, like before he was getting hurt all the time. There'd always be an injury. Yeah. It's like, hey, Tiger's 4 under through 11. Then or he's like 3 under through 6, and then all of a sudden he bogeys 3 in a row, and he's like, I hit a root.
Yeah, it's always
broke my wrist.
It's like I get being hurt, but dude,
I did notice that last night.
60 seconds here on the new NCAA basketball rankings that were revealed.
North Carolina's number 1.
Where's Gonzaga?
Gonzaga's number 2. I'm already tired of talking about it. I'm already tired of talking about Gonzaga.
Here we go again.
I'm already tired of talking about Gonzaga. Can't wait for everybody to just talk about Gonzaga the whole year.
Gonzaga train,
the whole year. And just like last year, when I got blasted all season for saying Gonzaga won't make it past the Elite 8, y'all keep talking about Chet Holmgren, who's put together with tears, Band-Aids, and bubble gum. He's already broken in the Skinwalker. He's Slender Man.
Yeah.
Talking about, Gonzaga, they're just as good as they were the year before. No, they weren't. Jalen Suggs was a dog. Jalen Suggs was legitimately, that was the only Gonzaga team I've ever looked at and been like, I bet that they have a legitimate chance to win the national championship. But here we go again. This year with Gonzaga, number 2 starting off. Can't wait to talk about how good Mark Few is outside of DUIs and how, Gonzaga, it's such a great story. When it's been 30 years of you guys being good, you're not an underdog anymore. When you start out number 2 in the preseason polls, I'm not going to feel like this is some great small-town story, like a little mom and pop. This isn't Stacy's Pita Chips. All right, you've been there for a while.
Stacy's Pita Chips.
You've been there for a while. I'm just already sick of talking about Gonzaga.
What was what was the barbecue
Mama
We
Goldberg
came up with the other. No. That's
Mama Chappie.
Mama Chappies or
Stacey's. I think Stacey's peanut chips are a real thing.
Oh, is it?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Mama Chappies.
Who's ranked one? North Carolina?
All right, so here's the top 10. Do we have this graphic? Actually,
it's the same
top
teams
10.
that are always ranked.
North Carolina, Gonzaga, Houston, Kentucky 4, Kansas, Baylor, Duke at 7, UCLA 8. Creighton is in the top 10. Arkansas rounds out the top 10. Then Tennessee right there on the outside.
It's every team that's ever been good in college basketball.
I don't like this.
Why don't you like this?
Past that.
Past that,
Auburn's
Texas,
15th,
Texas 12, 13 Indiana, TCU, Auburn. There's your Auburn boys, 15. Villanova, Arizona, Virginia, San Diego State, Alabama cracked the top 20.
God, hurry up.
Oregon, Michigan, Illinois, Dayton, and Texas Tech.
When are we going to get to the place in society when a head basketball coach can coach a football team?
What do you mean when we get to a play? They can't.
You talking about Bruce Pearl?
Huh? I'm talking about Bruce Pearl.
There's no restrictions against it.
Why don't we do that then? You should see more of that. You tell me Bruce.
He just needs to hire the coordinator.
Just recruit.
To hang around.
You don't have to come to the games. Just recruit. Just recruit. That's it.
You don't even have to come to the game.
Hold on. So you want?
Yeah, come on.
You want Bruce Pearl, Auburn's head basketball coach, to be the head football coach and recruit and not go to the game.
I'm not telling him not to come, but if he doesn't want to, he doesn't have to. Just recruit, Bruce. That's it. That's all we want.
And then what happens on game day?
Who's the coordinator?
I thought you were. Didn't they say you're the new offensive coordinator?
Man, I have a heart attack.
I'm like, we'll be the OC. Just know that we're going 100 miles per hour and we're throwing it deep every play.
Do we got anything less in
Yeah, we got all sorts of stuff.
All right.
NBA games. I can't even remember now. NBA games. Russell Westbrook coming off the bench for the Lakers. I feel like somebody told us that that's what should happen last
All right,
season.
that was your NBA update. What do we got next? No, I'm just
that's about it.
Look, I said it the whole time. Russell Westbrook and LeBron can't be on the floor at the same time. It just doesn't work. It's oil and water. They're two ball-dominant guards. Like, Russell Westbrook is not an off-the-ball player. Russell Westbrook getting all those triple-doubles and putting up those crazy numbers. You want to know why? Because he had the what? The ball.
Yeah.
The ball. He's in the triple threat position the minute he grabs the ball from underneath the other basket, bringing it forward. It all has to operate through him. Guess who else has to have that? LeBron. Now, LeBron is a lot better off the ball, obviously, than Russell Westbrook is, but he is the greatest player on the planet in a lot of people's eyes right now. We're not debating the Michael Jordan thing right now. You can see that on TikTok, though. You know, this game tonight, when I look at the Lakers and Warriors, you've got a lot of interesting things. You do have Russ coming off the bench. Anthony Davis is going to play basketball tonight. We're going to be able to watch Anthony Davis play basketball.
Sounds like it. Lakers at Golden State.
Yeah, he's going to play basketball tonight. Now, we don't know how long before one of his toes breaks or something like that with Anthony Davis. It seems like it's always something, which is sad because he's so dominant. He's like a more successful Greg Oden right now. But when I look at the Warriors, you still in the back of your mind, that Draymond and Jordan Poole thing, like that's something you can come out in the media and you can say, hey, it's all cool. And like, we welcome him back. He took a few days off. But dude, you sucker punched me like that. You're not getting the ball.
Is Draymond playing?
You're not getting the ball. I'm not sure if Draymond's playing tonight or not. But it's just very hard for me to think there isn't a rift still somewhat of that. Now, if you've been able to weather Hurricane Kevin Durant as a franchise and won a championship with him, that shows you how strong Steph and Clay and that core was until Draymond went and popped Jordan Poole in the face. So I just find it very, very interesting to see that dynamic play out. Steve Kerr is probably going to be screaming about climate change for the first half anyway, so he's not. I don't even know how much coaching he does. What are you going to tell Steph Curry? Hey, shoot it better.
He just recruits.
Yeah, he just recruits. That's it. Who do you got, Lakers or Warriors tonight, Blaine?
Warriors.
Warriors?
Yeah, I got the Warriors. First of all, I get the Russ on the bench thing. You should have traded him.
Well, let's see how it goes first. At least they're trying to do something.
That's what you should have done. You should have got more pieces to surround LeBron. And all this doesn't matter if Anthony Davis doesn't play basketball. It doesn't matter. You got to play. Like, I know you're like 13'7". Stuff hurts when you get up. All right? But play the damn game. All right? I don't want to hear about your back.
He made the Yankees hype video. He's trying to make the Lakers hype video.
No, I don't want to hear about. You're paying you all this money, my man. You got to get out there and play. Like, you didn't play last year. Like, you literally looked into a camera and felt like it was okay to, like, man, I haven't picked up a basketball since April. during basketball season.
I picked up a basketball yesterday walking the hallway.
Sooner or later, man, we just got to, like, either you're going to play, because, you're a different type of dude. All right, you're on the island.
You're on the 7-foot island, yes.
You're like, the public just doesn't get to see you. You got to pay extra to come see Anthony Davis. You got to. That thing, for sure. Like, you got to be
They
out
have
there.
to pay extra. They already have to buy tickets to the game.
You know what I just think about?
you know what I think?
You know what I think about when I think about 7-footer island? And I don't want this to devolve into another Pokemon discussion. But if you ever played the video game Pokemon Snap,
No, I haven't.
okay, I didn't think you had.
Okay.
Basically, it is a video game where you go around and it's like you're on like this island, basically like Narnia, and you like have to find like some of the rarest Pokemon and some, you like take pictures of it. A lot of kids played it when I was growing up, and I just envisioned that like Anthony Davis coming out of a waterfall, like Gyarados, you snap a picture of him and send it on because you paid extra. And there's like one of those things where you can get those coins that they smush, and it's like Blaine's face, like in what Jack Black was wearing.
Let's think about it. You pull up, right? You get off like a futuristic bus. All right, you step out and you just see a huge gate, right? A huge gate. And
What
it
does
says
it say?
This is like
7-footer
Fortnite
island.
meets Jurassic Park.
7-footer island. You know, you get in the thing, you go around, the 7-footers are out there, you feed some of them, all right? But then,
Purdue's coaching staff.
then you pay that extra $100, all right? And you walked back to the back room. Next thing you know, you see Anthony Davis. You see that 7'5" thing running around right now, not in the NBA, hitting threes. You're asking questions to the guy. How much do we know about him? Where did they come from? Is there more? How do you get him in here? It's just certain things. Like it's just
And then you pass Purdue's coaching staff on the way out.
Purdue.
Well, Purdue's coach gives a speech at the end of it.
Yeah, Zach Edey's from there.
Zach Edey is a monster. How they got that thing out of the cave, I'll never know.
I'm gonna see him like eating leaves off a tree.
No, I've
like
seen him running out of a
brontosaurus.
cave, eating people throwing spears at him, like just trying to like. He just figured out what fire was, so it's like there's markings on the wall of like him shooting a basketball, like dunking a basketball. They did back in the day. Zach Edey, like phenomenal basketball player. I'm sure he's a great kid, but he looks like he walked out of a cave 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, he's huge. There's big, and then there's.
I can't imagine it because everywhere I go.
He was a pitcher. He was a pitcher? The catcher? Yes.
You know how scary that is?
Yes.
He was a
throwing
pitcher?
the ball. He's throwing the ball 10 feet. He's got to throw the ball 10 feet, 400 miles an hour.
But like, coach, put Billy up to plate. I'm not.
Yeah.
Good luck at the plate today.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Coach, COVID. All right, let's go to Owen Donahue, $5 donation, #Ask Crane & Company. Did Monday Night Football show that the Broncos are underrated or the Chargers are overrated? Owen, I don't know how you...
I think it shows you that the Chargers are very beat up and they're
hurt.
trying to survive games. I think we knew that the Broncos weren't very good, even though Russell was really good on Monday night. Again, you lose Javonte Williams. I know they've had some injuries, but I feel like the Broncos have more healthy pieces, really, than the Chargers when you look at it, that are more game-breaker types. Like Mike Williams didn't step up huge last night. Austin Eckler, all Justin Herbert did, he checked down to him just about every single play, which is not a dumb move.
Yeah.
Gerald Everett is still kind of proving himself at the tight end position for the Chargers, but you look at Jerry Jeudy, you look at Cortland Sutton. I mean, you look at some of the guys that are around Russell Wilson, and obviously Russell Wilson being the piece. I think it showed you that these are two beat-up teams, one that just hasn't played well all year, especially on the offensive side of the Broncos, and another one that is actually beat up, and it is having a big effect on both sides of the ball, not just on offense for the Chargers. So I don't think it told us either one of those. I think it told us the Broncos are who we thought they were, and that the Chargers just have to survive while they get healthy and be able to try and make this push once Keenan Allen and them get back.
And even for the players who played, I mean, Justin Herbert was uncharacteristically inaccurate on
Especially
some of those
early.
throws, which tells me those ribs are still bothering him. Yeah, you're right, especially in the first half. So I think once he's back healthy, they'll be better.
Definitely. All right, let's get to some reactions.
All right.
Some cool stuff right here.
Reactions, guys. Did you see the Eagles fan run out with the?
We had a
the
great
Eagles
discussion
team?
on this. If you are going to run out in the field, don't run out in the field during the middle of the game. Don't do it really in general. If you're going to do something like this, find a way in the tunnel. What does this guy and Super Mario have in common? They both found their way in the tunnel, and they both got out on the other side. So an Eagles fan ran out. Imagine this. you're a Philly Eagles fan. You're the fourth guy out of the tunnel. The Phillies are in the playoffs. The Eagles are undefeated, only team left in the NFL, hosting the hated Cowboys at home. And you're fourth out of the tunnel? How did you get in there, number one? Number two, totally worth it. You asked me, Cone, if they banned you for life, would it be totally worth it? Yes.
You think so? If you're banned for life, it'd be worth it?
You want to know why? Number one, that's one stadium. Okay? Now, I don't know if the NFL bans work where you're banned from every one of them, but I really highly doubt they have some sort of Cortana system set up like that.
I don't think they're that organized.
Yeah, I don't think they're that organized. Just look at Roger Goodell. The dude can barely put a shirt and a suit on. But think about it. None of your friends ever have run out of the tunnel. Look at them. Nobody, none of your boys. There's guys that have run on the field, right? During the game, you stop the game, it's a delay. Nobody has run out of the tunnel with the smoke shooting up, the crowd going nuts. It's an unbelievable time to be an Eagles fan. So banned for life? For sure. Ban me for life.
Status achieved.
Yeah.
Legend status achieved. This is Wedding Crashers rule number 6. If you're going to draw attention to yourself, do so in a positive manner, and that's what he did.
Exactly.
He's not out there streaking in the middle. He's not trying to make some activist statement. He's out there. He's waving the towel with BG and the boys
to the goalpost.
No,
he isn't throwing.
To be honest with you, I think the Eagles should bring him back and maybe lead the fight song, lead the chants moving forward.
Look, you're 1-0 with him.
I mean,
that's the way I see it.
You're trying to win football.
You got to risk it to get the biscuit, and this is a dangerous move. This could have went south quickly.
Yeah.
All right, you're one trip and fall away from getting pummeled by huge people.
Well, sometimes,
and then finding out that you're not supposed to be there and getting upset, and next thing you know, Bobby Wagner is kicking the shit out of you. So this is dangerous.
Or Devontae Adams is pushing
it's a bold strategy, Cotton. I'm glad it paid off for you, but banned for life, man, that's tough. I still don't know how that guy for the Warriors walked in, got into the locker room, and warmed up on the court before a game.
Because he looks just like Klay Thompson.
That was wild. Because he got in through security.
That was like premeditated and everything. This was, to me, obviously I would think it would be spontaneous, but sometimes you got to go Owen Wilson behind enemy lines. Sometimes
I love it.
You got to do it.
I love it.
All right, next one. Panthers interim head coach Steve Wilks kicked Robbie Anderson out of the game this past weekend, and now Robbie Anderson has been traded to the Cardinals.
Let's play this clip real quick.
Situation, Robbie Anderson has just been apparently kicked out of the game by his own coach. Steve Wilks, the interim head coach. Anderson said something again to one of the coaches on the sideline. Steve Wilks came over and they barked at each other again. That was one more. Apparently, that was a last straw type thing. Watch Steve Wilks. He hears something else and he's like, apparently, that's it. I'm taking care of it. And Robbie Anderson has been escorted.
Man, you got kicked out of the game by the interim coach.
Good for Steve Wilks.
Yeah, good for Steve Wilks. I'd have done the same thing. Here's my thing with Robbie Anderson. Now, the NFL is a lot different than college. Okay, in the NFL, the players are typically making more than the coaches. The relationships are a little bit more friend to friend, coworker, as opposed to boss and employee, even though it does vary with some guys. But in no way, shape, or form was it smart by Robbie Anderson to do this, especially when they've been talking about trading you, been talking about moving you. Hell, they're talking about moving Christian McCaffrey. Regardless if you were in the right or you were in the wrong, which from the looks of it, it looks like Robbie said something to the wide receiver coach, the position coach, and the position coach popped back at him. There's no telling what Robbie said, but it obviously wasn't, I hope you have a Merry Christmas, because they got into it. Then you get into it again, and the new interim coach has to get involved. But from a fiscal and business standpoint, this was a bad move and a bad look by Robbie Anderson. Now, he did catch a break. I know injuries aren't, I hate to say catching a break on an injury, but Hollywood Brown going down for the Cardinals, even though they do get D-Hop back for this week, led to Robbie Anderson being traded to the Cardinals. They traded him for like a 6th-round pick, a 7th-round pick, and a washing machine, something like that. But from a standpoint of moving forward and looking at Robbie Anderson as a professional, this is a bad look. Just like, again, I'll give you an example. Stephen A. Smith basically said it was racist that nobody talks about Tom Brady yelling and throwing tablets as opposed to Robbie Anderson getting into it with his coach. Number one, Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time, okay? Some guys have a little more leeway when it comes to getting upset and doing things. That's like getting mad at Michael Jordan for getting upset at a teammate during practice or something. The GOATs are just built different, and they need to be treated a little bit different, not by what they look like, but what they've achieved. Trying to compare breaking a tablet to cussing out a coach and getting in an altercation with a coach and then getting kicked out by a coach that is the same race as you is not racist, but Stephen A. Smith has cried wolf so many times it has no weight anymore. But just not a smart move from Robbie Anderson.
I even remember Tom Brady and Bill O'Brien. Remember when Bill O'Brien was the OC at the Patriots? He and Tom Brady would get into it sometimes.
McDaniels and Tom Brady would get into it
and then
sometimes.
Tommy B goes out and delivers and wins football games.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's not a good situation in Carolina right now. I know it, but you're not going to make anything better there, and you're not going to make anything better for yourself or your teammates if you're going and getting into it with your position coach.
Yeah.
Well, I would say this. One, when it comes to quarterbacks, I always like when quarterbacks get into other people, especially the offensive line. That's the leader of the team.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're white, black, purple, yellow, gray, it doesn't matter. You're the guy who makes everything go. You're the guy who knows where all the pieces are. So if you need to get in somebody and get upset, you need to be the guy to get upset. I don't really know the context of the conversation of what happened with the Panthers. So it's really hard for me to kind of give my opinion on it. But coaches and players get into it all the time. All the time. It's a part of football. It's a part of football. You see it in the NFL. You'll see it in college. Hell, you'll see it in high school. I don't know what was said. I don't know what happened. I know Robbie Anderson hasn't passed of stuff like this. So I can't wait to see really what the conversation was. But, good for the head coach. Sometimes you just got to say go. It's better for both parties to say, hey, man, go. Robbie Anderson is going to land on your feet. You're going to a better team in the Cardinals with a better offense. So, it's funny how sometimes things work out, but I really don't know what was said or what the conversation was, so it's hard to give my judgment.
And look, guys get into it on the sideline too. Like it's a very high, intense, physical, violent game where emotions are running high. That's why the teams that are able to keep their temperament, play the hardest, the smartest, the longest, tend to win. Coney, we got some more reactions tomorrow.
Do you see our? Oh, you want me?
Yeah, let's do them tomorrow. We got a few mailbag questions as I go over to the board of Extraordinary Truth. And why can't we beat?
And I don't know if y'all saw if you were watching the Utah game. I know they ended up losing, but Caleb Williams was getting on some guys on the sidelines.
I love
seeing this. I love it, especially with the quarterback, because it shows me what you care.
You care.
You care. And
Caleb Williams.
You're not afraid to lead. That doesn't mean you go scream every time. You got to love people up as much as when you get on them, and you got to motivate them. But good players want that.
Yeah. Caleb Williams is a star, man. First mailbag question from Mike. Did the Yankees fire Boone if they lose tonight?
All right, Blaine.
Probably. No, I like
Really?
I don't want to see him go, to be honest.
Really?
I like Aaron Boone.
You gonna fire the man?
But it's the Yankees. Hell, they were booing Aaron Judge.
Who you gonna get?
They were booing Aaron Judge.
Who you
after
gonna
he struck
get?
out for the fourth time.
Who the Yankees gonna get?
Joe Girardi.
You gonna go wake Tony La Russa up?
Bruce Pearl.
Yeah,
He wants Bruce Pearl. Not to short up the games.
I think give him another year. I still go back to, you just didn't make moves. I know it's on him before the All-Star break, but I like Aaron Boone. I feel like he's doing a good job. But let's go win this game, Aaron.
Go win this game.
You know what? Speaking about the Yankees, here's another one right up your alley here from Emma. Good morning, ! I wanted to ask you guys why some people choose to support teams strictly based on the fact their family members love another team. My boyfriend likes the Eagles because his dad loves the Giants. Wouldn't you want to support the same team as your family?
I have a theory on this. I think it's just the type of person you are.
Okay.
Like to me, we were always going to be Auburn fans growing up because our father played there and we grew up there. But outside of that, I cheered for the teams my father cheered for. The Braves, teams like that. Blaine would always go on the other side. Now, I don't know if that was more so he could cheer against me or my father, or both are kind of me. Sometimes somebody's the black sheep, man. Sometimes somebody likes licorice. Sometimes somebody likes candy corn. Everybody doesn't like Reese's, I guess.
That's weird if you don't.
Yeah.
But it depends
I don't trust
on
you.
What do you believe in? A lot of people believe in, all people are born good and something bad has to happen for them to turn bad. I believe in some people just are born and want to see the world burn. What's up? I'm Blaine Crane.
So you just want to see the world burn.
Well, Blaine's 100% Sith.
I don't believe you.
Look, that's fine. Then it's working. All right. It's going exactly how I'm planning it to go. Look, you got to have a little dark side in you.
Like Reed's just oozing with dark energy.
Yeah.
Like I'm 3 years away from having to call the Ghostbusters.
How do you react in critical situation when someone goes against the grain? Dad, I'm your son. Let's go Yankees. Let's go Tiger Woods, Dad. Big Phil Mickelson.
Yeah, Dad wasn't a fan of Tiger Woods.
Your dad loved Phil Mickelson?
Oh, love Phil.
Well, it wasn't just Phil. He loved Fred Couples, really.
Yeah,
gotcha.
That's who
sometimes
he really liked.
You just got to wake up and choose violence, and I do that for at least.
And there were some times where I went against
3 out of the 5 days of the week.
Yeah. No, you love to see it. All right, that's the Mailbag. Blaine, real quick before we get to bed.
Yeah, we still got some donos out there, fellas.
Oh, I love
Carson Everett, $4.99 donation. Speaking of choosing violence, says Young and Gibbs have been Bill O'Brien's job security. Get him out and Roll Tide.
Get him out, he says.
You dropped like 40 points.
How about what about Pete Golding?
Yeah.
You scored 50 points. If we scored 50 points and you're pissed at me, then I don't know what to.
If you're getting DUIs,
now I get
you better be coaching.
I get it. People say, oh, well, they scored 42 points and got a touchdown defense. It's 42 points. You score 42 points, you should win the game with Will Anderson and the players that they have, Jordan Battle, all those guys.
All right, Jacob O'Brien, $5 donation.
Thank you, J.O.
We kind of hit this earlier in the show. What do you guys think of the Bubba Wallace incident? Love the show. Keep it up.
Appreciate it. I like
pull
it.
that clip
I like
tomorrow.
watching fights in NASCAR. I feel like it makes, because again, all you do, I'm not gonna lie, not the biggest NASCAR fan. All right. Do I know? Can I go fix an engine?
Really fun. I hate watching, but
it's fun. Really fun to go to. It's like hockey. I enjoy going to it a lot more than watching it, as opposed to football, where I do enjoy going to the games, but I love being able to watch multiple games at once to be able to see what's going on. I think it gives it a dynamic. Think about when NASCAR was really, really popping, right? I mean, you had Dale Earnhardt. You had guys that, they're trading paint, getting in each other's faces. Hey, hold me back. I'm trying to punch you through the netted window in the car. So I like when NASCAR drivers have feuds. I think it's one of the biggest soap operas on the planet, and it's better when the drivers don't like each other and there's a villain. There's a villain and a hero, right? You know, Jimmy Johnson was just clean cut, boy from next door. Hey, I'll help you carry that jam, Mrs. Spammy. You know, I'll take it to the next store. And then you got guys on the other side who are basically the Patrick Reeds of NASCAR, except they're not like cheating all the time.
You got to love Mrs. Spammy.
You got to love Mrs. Spammy. Yeah. Mama Chappies and Mrs. Spammy.
Do y'all want the poll? You want the poll? Or you want to go bets first?
Let's go poll, then we'll go bets.
All right. Should steroids be legal in sports?
Here we go.
Really?
Yes or no? Look,
I'm going to say...
I go to the Booster Club on what the poll they want.
I know. You go first today, Cone.
They said no, but out of their respect and love for you, Blaine, it was close. They said no 57%.
I feel like the Booster Club is unbelievably cynical, and I love it. I'm going to say they said yes 52%.
What's the answer?
Should steroids be legal in sports? No. 60.
Ooh,
wow.
See,
so
we have some rational people.
Wow, they went against this.
Guess y'all don't listen to the science.
To the science.
Blaine said he only listens to one scientist, and that's John Brinkins.
That's it. I'm listening.
Here's ever since he said steroids should be legal too, Blaine believes John Brinkins on everything he's ever said ever. All right, here's what I got tonight. Guys, look, I'm going double run lines for the home teams. They're both dog bets. Padres -1.5 at +160. Yankees -1.5 at +135. If even one of them hits, still up units on the day. It's a mathematical play, really channeling my inner Matt Damon from Good Will Hunting here. So how about them apples? Cone, what do you got?
Well, I'm going to stick with the Yankees money line from yesterday that got postponed. That line is now -175. Okay. Then I'm going to go with a little dog bet here, too, with Phillies money line +105. Zach Wheeler on the mound. Like I said, 2.82 ERA in the regular season. Let's shove for a little bit. And then, boys, guess what? The first NHL bet of the season. I'm going Calgary Flames money line versus the Vegas Knights. That's -155. Both teams unbeaten. Calgary has already beaten Colorado and Edmonton.
All right,
so let's go 3-0.
I love it. I'm going double Nerfy.
Okay.
I'm going double Nerfy since
the Nerfy lifestyle
on today. I'm going Yankees, Cleveland, Indians, Nerfy -135. And give me the Pods and Phillies Nerfy -145, I believe. Hey, guys, it's playoffs. It's big game. It's big games. Let's go ahead and get out of the first inning on both. If I'm going to lose one, please be the Yankees one.
Baby Cone also had a Yankees bet last night that got postponed. So he's going to stick with the Yankees Cleveland Nerfy -145. Y'all are bet buds there, Blaine. He's going to go San Diego to hit a home run tonight. The Padres, the Holy Fathers, at -150. And then he's going hockey as well. Edmonton -1.5 at -110. So we got two hockey bets, both coming from the Cone family, contributing on the ice. All right. Got 1 minute, 1.5 minutes. What do we got, Blaine? What's in there?
Baby Sawyer's dad, little Daily Wire chat right here. He says, I hate Reese's. So I'm already questioning whatever's but you're about to say after that. I'm about to make the case of Matt Walsh, how they are satanic.
How? Yeah, okay, Walsh said yesterday that he thinks anime is satanic.
Well, he kind of changed it a little bit, and he says he thinks cartoons are more satanic, which I would agree, and there's a lot more hidden.
But anime's cartoons.
Hidden, well, like kids' cartoons.
Anime's kids' cartoons.
It's not. No, it's not.
I mean, do you think more adults watch anime or kids?
I would say more people, probably 18 to 20, 25 in that range, watch anime more than kids. and adults.
What?
I just never
is
got
anime.
There's some.
Explain it.
There
to
was
me.
one that I.
Is it
did
Japanese
like.
cartoons?
There was one that I did.
So
like.
yeah, some.
Okay, but it's not for kids.
Oh, I mean, not really.
They have storylines.
Yeah. Oh, dude, the plots are the best.
What are they all about?
Well, there's a lot of different animes. I mean, some of them are about. Let me walk you on this call. This is probably not a good example. But it's called Demon Slayer.
Yeah, well, if you say that one's satanic, I mean,
there's that one. There's one called. There's one called
I want to be with
There's one
the
called
devil.
Hunter X where there's.
they're not satanic.
That's just
but my favorite one is
That's
called
one of my
I'm
favorite
Demonic.
ones. So, Demon Slayer, Hunter X. Hunter X. There's nothing satanic, but almost
One Punch
it's
Man,
almost
that's anime,
One Punch
right?
Man's
You would like
Man.
One Punch Man.
One Punch Man.
You would like
really
One
good.
Punch Man. That one's funny. It's a comedy.
Yeah, most of them are.
Like to me, like there are some like Rick and Morty's funny to me. South Park's funny to me. Like that's a cartoon. I think whenever you generalize and paint something with a broad brush, that there is nuance in between, you don't get like the full picture. Again, I mean, I think the Adam Sandler the Christmas movie that's animated's hilarious. You know, with the guy's like, that's a personal foul.
What's that one called again?
It's like eight Crazy Nights.
Eight Crazy Nights.
Eight Crazy Nights. Like, that's funny. I just
can't get over right now.
Like I'm not getting up in the morning.
That's why I say it's a bad
Rugrats.
example. That's one of my favorite ones. It's not really anything. It's more sad than anything. That one.
Well, if we want to talk about satanic,
Baki's really good. Like you go back to like kids cartoons.
Those are
weird.
Like the Wiggles. Here's what I want you. Like really, just as an adult, sit down and watch the Wiggles. Just sit down and just watch them. Don't trust one of them. Teletubbies. We all know that story. We all know that went down. I don't trust him. The guy from Blue's Clues, Steve, whatever his name is.
What happened to him?
It wasn't good.
Really?
Let's just put it that way.
Bad News Bears?
Let's just put it that way.
Let's
just say we just found a letter. We just found a letter. We just found a letter. I wonder who it's from. Prison.
Chris Hansen situation? Have a seat? Was it a have a seat with Chris Hansen situation? I just love that Blaine's saying anime is not demonic, but my favorite one is called, hey, this episode's demonic.
Satanic. First of all, that was just like, that wasn't even close.
If it wasn't the first one, if it wasn't the first one.
Well, that's one of my favorites. You know what I'm saying? So like, there's a lot of different ones, but like, I don't know. You can say anything's satanic. You know?
That's a good place to end it.
Yeah.
That's a good place to end it. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you like, you're subscribed to the channel. Turn that bell on for notifications. Blaine, anything from the chat I'm missing? Real quick, you want to throw some out there or not? Last chance.
Really. Good day today, chat.
Good day today, chat. Appreciate you guys. Like I said, catch us tomorrow morning. Appreciate Big Game Boomer coming on. Got David Pollack. That's right. Coming on tomorrow. We're talking some more college, NFL. Let's do an NFL quick hitch tomorrow, Coney. You want to do that? Let's do that. Y'all are the best audience in the world. Shout out to the Booster Club and everybody at the Daily Wire. Make sure you're a member at Daily Wire Plus. And like the chances of there not being NBA games for the next, 8, 9 months or 35 months, it feels like, we're going. Gone.